First of all, Archbishop Samuel, can you tell me a bit about where you were born and where you were raised and how you got your education and your very considerable educational qualifications?
Thank you very much. First of all, as you have just said, my name is Samuel Peni, the Archbishop of Western Equatorial Internal Province, and also the Bishop of the Diocese of Yambio. I was born in 1970 in the bush, during the Anyanya II War. My parents have run to the IDP, what we could call today internally displaced camp. This is where I was born. And then 2 years later, peace agreement was signed. And then my parents have to live at the bush. That was how we call it, between Congo and South Sudan, where they went hiding from the fighting. And then my father, that year I was born, was ordained a priest. And he have lived as a priest 50 years. And I actually 51 years before he died. So so he had been pastoring, traveling with us as a little kid, being transferred from one parish to another, and then in the outskirts of Yambio. But we have grown, in a church family, which is not rich, but it is a family which is, trust God and want to move and serve God. To do with the education, I have to go to the schools, my first primary 1, primary 2, and primary 3. I did it outside Yambio. And then in primary 4 was when I came to Yambio, the ECS mission school, which was established by CMS. This is where I started my primary 4, and then I finished my primary education, and then I went to intermediate. We used to have what we call intermediate school. I went to for 3 years, then secondary school for 3 years. Then the year I was sitting for my Sudan school certificate. I sat for the exam. I passed very well, but I could not go to the university because of the war. In 1990, when Yambio was liberated by the SPLA, now the connection with the Sudan then got cut off. And then I did not want to go to Congo, so that I go to Khartoum so that I can continue with my education for only one reason. And the one reason is I did not want to be away from my family, my parents. I wanted to be near them, because if I'm in Khartoum, the connection will cut.
Yes.
Yeah. So the only thing I did after finishing South Sudan school certificate was I went to college. I went to, first of all, to do what we call teachers training in Yambio. It was in-service training. I was teaching in the high school as well as being trained at the same time. So, and then in 1995, I went to the Bible school in Yambio to get training to become a pastor. So where I graduated in 1997, and later that year I was sent to Nairobi. So in Nairobi is where now I went to get a higher diploma in theology. And later also I went to Geneva, to the school called the Institute of Bosse. So where I did a postgraduate diploma in ecumenical and peace building. And after that, I also went to the US to do my master's program in what we call, my master is called MATDE, which is Master of Arts in Theology, Development, and Evangelism. So I combined both evangelism and also community development. Yeah, so as well as theology. So that is what I studied.
So you're very well qualified for your current role. Tell me, when and how did you decide to become a minister of the church? And also, when did you become Archbishop of Western Equatoria Province?
To tell you the truth, many clergy children do not like to become ministers. And I'm just one of them. When I was in my secondary school, I did not want at all. I did not want at all to become a minister. I said, if my father is serving as a pastor, how can I become a pastor? I was training to become a military politician, because military politician, was what I was seeing around. Many of the people, what is in your context was a war zone. You see, military people are the one with a lot of power, and to be a military commander, then you are powerful. That was what I wanted to become. And unfortunately, that was not God's plan for me. I consider myself like Paul, Saul, who later became Paul in Acts of the Apostles, was going a totally different direction.
Yes.
But from that different direction, I have turned about 10. I'm now going the opposite direction. And I love it very much. And I think this journey started in 1995 by going to the Bible school. I loved it, and I love the work that I'm doing. Yeah. So I was ordained in 2000. And then after finishing from Nairobi, I was priested in 2003. And then I became the first bishop of Nzara in 2009. And 10 years later, I became the Archbishop of Western Equatoria and also the Bishop of Yambio in 2019. That is about 3 years ago. Yes.
Very interesting. Now, I'm going to turn and ask you about Ibba Girls Boarding School. What motivated you to get involved in Ibba Girls Boarding School as a trustee and as a governor?
The first thing I said is I'm a teacher. Education is, the key to the world. Education brings knowledge. Education brings success. And through education, your eyes will open. Through education, you can research and gain the knowledge that you need. So for me, what motivated me is even what the missionaries said. I was speaking about that today here, because the church stands on 3 legged stools. There's evangelism on one side, the gospel on the other side, and there is also, health. And these 3 are essential, and these 3 are intertwined. Now in South Sudan, we have a lot of things that are going on, a lot of conflicts, a lot of wars. And in South Sudan, only 27% are considered to be literate. And these illiterate who are 27 are away. Most of them are working for the UN. Most of them are working in other countries. And those people who are left in South Sudan, those 73% to be considered to be illiterate. This is a big challenge for a nation. Yeah. For a nation to live in unity, for a nation to love development rather than destruction through the war, there is a need for education. That is why I love education. I love education because it will open people's eyes. I will love education because it will bring in knowledge to the people. And this particular school, the way I love it is when I first heard about it, that, you know, a school for girls has been established in Ibba. It was amazing. For me to have a first visit there a few years ago, just as a bishop, we were in Ibba, then we decided with Archbishop Daniel Deng at that time to visit the school. So I saw that this is a big gift to South Sudan. This is a big gift to Western Equatoria, to provide an environment like this where people can come to learn, where people can have conducive environment to learn and to teach. You know, this is a big gift. That is why I love the place. That is why I think for me, if I can contribute, if I have a knowledge that I can share, if I have, if I'm one of the decision makers, both in the church and in the community, then I'm so happy to do it. I'm so happy to do it because that will remain to change the history. That will change the narrative that we have. We have a narrative of, you know, we are poor, we are illiterate, because this is just because we are ignorant. You know, the Bible says in Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. People will die if they have no education. People will die because they are ignorant. People will die and go into wrong things, make wrong decisions because they are ignorant. But if people are educated and people have the knowledge and they can decide between what is good and what is bad through education, then they will be able.
Thank you very much. What you've said so far is very, very inspiring. And we're very appreciative and grateful for the time and care that you put into IGBS. I'd like to hear from you about how you and other governors are leading IGBS into this new phase of development after a period with many challenges, the COVID lockdown, the health problems that there were, although those are now resolved, the leadership and governance challenges that there have been, and the resignation of the former head teacher, Vicky Dratia. So there have been a lot of challenges. Tell us a bit about how you will plan to overcome those.
Thank you very much. I think together with the other governors, there will be need for us to have a radical, I always say radical approach. When we talk about a radical approach, this may not all be sweet at all, or may not please everybody, but you will cut through the facts that are there and get to the heart of where you want to get.
And can you say something about how you see the ECS Church and the Roman Catholic Church and the government being involved in IGBS?
All of us are committed. The Bishop Ibba is committed. The Minister of Education is committed. Myself, I am also committed. And because I think I have a saying in Zande, I don't know if it may mean the same in English. These are leaders who are looking beyond the corner. These are leaders who are seeing what the community are not yet seeing. And these are leaders who know that this gift, to lose it, is like there was nobody here who could see it and talk about it, the people. That is why Bishop Ibba, myself, and the minister, I am, positive that together we will be able to work together. There are many things we have, we are working on. So I think for the Catholic Church and for the ECS Church and for the government, we see IGBS that this is a community thing which we have to stand for. It is a community school. We have to support, we have to encourage, because our this will train the leaders that we are expecting tomorrow. And this, school will help reduce the number of illiterate people. I am grateful for this meeting. I want to say to all the supporters of IGBS that it is important for them to continue to support this school. It is important for them, this thing that they have realized, they have started, they should continue to support it because it will bring something big tomorrow. Whatever it brings tomorrow will add value to the peace that we are there for. Because if these girls can go to school and learn and they go out, then they will be able to, they will be able to contribute for the peace of this nation because they will not have the trauma like us who are their parents because we are all traumatized. As I always say, many leaders in South Sudan are traumatized because of our experiences, because of our fears. But once we are able to get over our trauma, then we will be able to move on properly. So I think my appreciation goes to all the supporters, and my encouragement is let them continue on. We will overcome. We will overcome all those challenges slowly by slowly.